Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tropical Atlantic Marine Weather Briefing. My name is Elizabeth Adams, and I'm a marine forecaster with the Tropical Analysis and Forecast Branch at the National Hurricane Center. Let's get started. Here's a look at the conditions from Sunday morning. Strong to near gale force winds and seas of 8 to 10 feet continue off the coast of northwestern Colombia as a tight pressure gradient prevails between low pressure over the south central Caribbean and the Bermuda High. Moderate to fresh trade winds are occurring through much of the Caribbean Sea. In the Gulf of America, weak ridging extends over the basin, and moderate winds out of the southeast are noted as low pressure strengthens over the south central United States. Scattered showers and thunderstorms surrounding Florida, as well as along the northern Gulf Coast, may lead to hazardous sea conditions through Sunday night. Otherwise, high pressure centered to the east of Bermuda is dominating the open Atlantic waters, and moderate to fresh trade winds and rough seas are occurring through much of the basin. Let's take a look at the forecast for Monday. Strong to near gale force winds are expected off the coast of Colombia and through the Gulf of Venezuela, and winds are expected to peak each night and early morning in this region this week. Pulsing fresh to strong winds are also expected in the Gulf of Honduras. Moderate to fresh trade winds and locally rough seas can be expected across the Caribbean on Monday. Farther north across the Gulf of America, moderate to locally fresh southeast winds and slight to moderate seas will prevail ahead of a cold front moving through the south central United States. Otherwise, high pressure in the central Atlantic will drift eastward early this week, and a tightening pressure gradient between the high and the ITCZ will promote fresh to locally strong trades through the tropical Atlantic to 25 north. Large east swell will build in this region and may move into the Caribbean passages with seas of 8 to 10 feet expected. For Tuesday, a cold front is slated to move off the eastern seaboard of the United States. Fresh to locally strong southwest winds and locally rough seas can be expected off the coast of northern Florida ahead of the front Tuesday morning before the storm system lifts northeastward and away from the forecast waters. High pressure in the central Atlantic will continue to move eastward, and as a result, the tight pressure gradient in the Caribbean Sea will relax, leading to mainly moderate to locally fresh winds through the basin. Localized strong winds can still be anticipated in the Gulf of Venezuela and offshore of Colombia. Otherwise, fresh to locally strong trade winds and rough seas of 8 to 10 feet will continue over the tropical Atlantic waters. Big changes are expected by midweek for the Gulf of America waters as the strengthening pressure gradient emerges between high pressure building over the western Atlantic and a rapidly strengthening storm system in the central United States. Expect fresh to strong south to southeast winds through the basin, with the strongest winds occurring west of 90 west. Building seas of 8 to 9 feet and southeast swell will accompany the winds. Widespread fresh to locally strong trade winds can also be anticipated in the Caribbean, following a short downtrend of the winds on Tuesday as low pressure deepens over the south central basin. Rough seas of 8 to 10 feet may impact much of the central Caribbean, with the highest seas expected near and downstream of the strongest winds. Otherwise, similar conditions over the tropical Atlantic can be expected to continue on Wednesday. Widespread fresh to strong winds are anticipated on Thursday as high pressure strengthens off the coast of the eastern United States, with fresh to strong winds impacting the western Atlantic, much of the Caribbean Sea, and through the Gulf of America. Building seas will also occur in tandem with these winds, with peak seas of 10 to 12 feet possible over the aforementioned areas. Finally, for Friday, the high in the western and central Atlantic is expected to drift southeastward. Widespread strong to locally near gale force winds are likely in the Caribbean, with the strongest winds occurring offshore of Colombia. Rapidly building seas, with a peak near 14 feet, will be possible in the south central Caribbean. Otherwise, similar conditions to Thursday are likely in the western Atlantic and in the Gulf of America, with fresh to strong trade winds and rough seas continuing. Thank you for tuning in to the weekly Tropical Atlantic Marine Weather Briefing. The next briefing will be released by 5 p.m. on Thursday, April 3rd. Have a safe week.